only found in minor keys. Sometimes, well, often, they refer to this as the leading tone diminished seventh. And that's really your key. So this chord appears only in a minor key. Okay, for you it's that simple. There's more to it than that, but that's all you need to know. Right? So as soon as you see 7 diminished 7, which is how I would say it, 7 diminished 7, bingo, you go into minor key, and it's the leading note 7th. So that note is your leading note. So as soon as you see this note, you know that the key of this is a semitone above, because that's the leading note. Alright? So, 2 different chords. And what's unique about this chord is it's all minor thirds. It's the only chord that uses in harmony that's got purely minor thirds. So, kind of a scary chord. It's all minor-ish. So it sounds kind of darker and more mysterious, right? Okay. So we'll do some little exercises here that I brought. Maybe if that didn't sink in 100%, it may after we do a couple of these. Now, what we call supplementary. Okay, so at the top, I wrote in there, dominant 7th, root, major 3rd, perfect 5th, minor 7th. If it doesn't have that, it's not a dominant 7th. Okay? So, on this page, you're trying to figure out the difference between the dominant 7th and the diminished 7th. Okay, and it's very easy. My apologies. Okay, everybody going? Okay, so let's look at the first one. Okay, so if you look at that chord, B major, F sharp, A sharp, C sharp, E, major 3rd, perfect 5th, minor 7th. This one here, F sharp, A sharp, that's the raised leading note, C sharp, E. If I play this chord, and then I play this chord, you can't tell which key it is. Could be B major, could be B minor, okay? If I give you a key signature, then it's clear. This has to be B major, this is B minor. But they sound the same. So if they write it this way, they're asking you, what's 2 possible keys? And your answer would be that could be in B major, or it could also be in B minor. So dominant seventh will have, you know, when I did a lot of that stuff last week on the Zoom, I kept saying context, right? So here there is no context. In other words, there's no key signature, so you don't know. Maybe that F sharp, you know, maybe that A sharp is in the key signature. Maybe it's the raised leading note of B minor. You don't know. So they would ask you what two possible keys. If they asked you what major key would you find that in, you'd say B major. What minor key would you find that in? You'd say B minor. If you say what two keys, you have to say B major, B minor. If it had key signatures, it can only be one. The key signature would tell you. Either it's 5 sharps or 2 sharps. Okay? So, the next one, he says, is 7 diminished 7 of G minor. Okay. So, what you do is, when you have that chord, okay, these two guys, this you're only going to find in root position. So you're only going to, it's going to be fairly simple. It's just going to be piled up like this on 4 lines or 4 spaces. You look at those first 2 notes, and if that's a minor third, well, you know you've got a diminished 7th. If it's a major third, like these, F sharp, A sharp, then you know you've got a dominant 7th. Okay? And you don't have to even go, you don't have to go farther than that. Okay? Then the next step you say is, well, this is also known as a leading tone 7. So that note's the leading note, and I just showed you, go up a semitone. And that's your key. So this example, the F sharp on the bottom is your leading note. So it's also called a leading note 7. Leading tone diminished 7. You know, different names in different books, but it's all, as long as you kind of understand what's going on. Yeah.
Well, what is the
So B7 is dominant, right? That's the sign for 5. And when you have lowercase B11, that's 7. So that's the 7th degree of the scale. So F sharp is the 7th degree of G minor. Gotta go from that. We'll do some, and see if that kicks in. Okay, next one. D, F, A flat, C flat. So try this method. Because if it's a minor third, it's a diminished 7th. If it's a major third, it's going to be a dominant 7th. So D to F. The 2 bottom notes, D to F. Major third, minor third. Yeah. It's a minor third. Okay. So, if you don't believe me, then you can just keep going. F, go to the next one. F to A flat. Minor third. A flat to C flat. Minor third. All minor thirds. 7 diminished 7. So your answer is okay. 7 diminished 7. And the bottom note D is the raised leading note of what minor key? Ariel. E flat minor. Okay? Because you're only going to get these in minor keys. Okay? So sometimes we just do this. It means the same thing. 7 diminished 7 of E flat minor. Oh, but they give you a separate line. So you put 7 diminished on the top line and E minor, E flat minor on the bottom. Okay. Next one. E, G sharp, B, D. So again, you can use the, in group position, just go with the bottom two notes. If it's a major third, you have a dominant. If it's a minor third, you have the diminished. Do I have any takers? We're doing the fourth one, top line. We're just gonna go through it.
Dominant seventh of A major.
Yeah. Dominant seventh could be A major, could be A minor. We do not know because there is no key signature to give us a context. Okay? So, but again, sometimes, just to we'll take a step back, sometimes read the question carefully. Sometimes they'll say, give the major key in which this is found. Sometimes they'll say, give the minor key in which this key is found. Sometimes they'll say, give two keys where this is found. Okay, top one, last line, yeah. Okay. Yeah. Top line, last one, A, C, E flat, G flat. There you go. Louder. Okay, so it's a diminished, right? Diminished seventh of B flat minor. So again, the bottom note's going to be your raised leading note. So up, not just any kind of semitone, right? It's got to be a diatonic semitone. In other words, a different letter name. So it's got to be B flat. You can't say A sharp. Alright? Anybody? Are we getting this a little bit better? Okay, second line. How far is it from E flat to G? No, the first one. Okay, I'm looking at the second line, the bass, the first one in the bass one. E flat, G, B flat, E flat. You go back to the you rely on your knowledge of the intervals in the major scale, and that's based on your knowledge of key signatures. So your question you ask yourself, in the scale of E flat, bottom note, third note of E flat major is G. Therefore, that's a major third. So there's my answer, major third. So it's a dominant seventh. Next, E flat is the fifth note of your scale. What two scales?
It's for the second one.
Yeah.
Diminished seventh of G sharp minor.
Oh no, we're second line, first line. Still don't have an answer.
Dominant seventh of A flat.
Okay. All right. Just want to make sure we. Okay, so we're on the second line. We are now proceeding to the second one, the one that's got an F double sharp on the bottom. So Daniel, you had enough. You were gonna say.
Dominant seventh of A flat major.
Okay, you were doing the second one though.
The second one, diminished seventh of G sharp minor.
Okay. So the second one's 7 diminished 7 of G sharp minor. Only one answer, minor key. Okay? So for the diminished guys, only one possible answer. Okay. So, third one. And the bass clef. So, bottom note, major or minor? Question.
Leading tone diminished seven.
Yep.
Of C minor.
Correct. 7 diminished 7 of C minor. Okay. Again, you think you might get confused because when I verbalize it, I say 7 diminished 7. There's two 7s in there. But you'll know by context which 7 is the Roman numeral and which 7 is the 7th. So, not to worry about it. Not to worry about that. Okay. C sharp, E, G, B flat. Remember we're still in the bass clef. Second last one. Anyway, here we go. So 7 diminished of D minor. Yeah. So C sharp again, leading note, go up. Okay, so we're getting this. All right, second line, last one. Yeah, play it out. Shout it out.
Dominant seventh of E major.
That's good. Great. Okay? Okay. So the F sharp would be the key signature. In the major key, it would be the raised leading note in the minor key. So that would explain everything as we see it. Okay, good. All right, now the exciting alto. All right, alto clef, middle line. First one, alto clef. Alto clef specialist. Victor. Yeah. So 7 diminished 7. E flat minor. He's arguing with himself now. Yeah, so the bottom note's a G. For all you guys trying to figure out the alto clef, right? The bottom note's a G, so up a semitone, A flat minor, 7 diminished 7, A flat minor. Next one, we have F, A, C, E flat. F, A, C, E flat. Yep. Yes. You sure? Yep. Yeah, B flat major, B flat minor. Okay. Next one has C double sharp on the bottom, E sharp, G sharp, A. Double What do you got? What did you do? Yeah, that makes sense. So diminished 7 diminished 7 of D sharp minor. Okay, so here's again once you apply logic, if you see one of these chords, you know, piled up as a 7th, and the bottom note is a double sharp, okay, you know right away that there's no double sharp in a key signature, right? So right away you know it's a diminished chord, and that's the raised leading note. So C sharp, C double sharp up a semitone gets you to D sharp. Sometimes it's a little bit tricky, but not. Okay. And we have E, G, B flat, D flat. Those. E, G, B flat, D flat, E, G. So E to G will kind of tell you right away. Davide, you know, you following us? Yeah. Sorry, yeah, 7 diminished 7 of F minor. So, I'm talking about the second last one. So your chords E, G, B flat. E is your leading note, so F minor of the semitone. So 7 diminished 7 of F minor, only one possible choice. Next one, C sharp, E sharp, G sharp, E. Yo, shoot. F sharp, right? Yeah. F sharp major, F sharp minor. Dominant 7. Okay. Now usually, so for the bottom one, the bottom line here, you have a context because you've got key signature. So that sort of simplifies things a little bit. And if you look closely, you will find that there's no doubling. In other words, as you would have on a triad, making 4 notes out of 3, you double usually the root. Here they're all separate notes. So your best way to deal with that is do what we were doing when we were zooming. Just assemble. Alright. I'm going to skip my clefs just to save time. And okay, so when I look at that, right away I see this. So I'm talking spaces, right? So I'm going to take this one, put it up there, take this A, put it there. There's my chord, F, A, C, E flat. Okay, so my first question is, let's do chord type. Is it 7 diminished or 5/7? Yeah.
5/7.
Okay, so chord type would be 5/7 because it's a major. Right? Okay. So if this is the 5th note of your scale, right? 5th note of your scale, that A natural is the raised leading note. And if there's a raised leading note, well then my key is going to be minor. So up a semitone from A. What's my key?
B flat minor.
B flat minor. Okay, so we got that. Then position. Then you go down to here. Lowest note. Okay? So if F was the bottom, it would be root position. If A's on the bottom, it's first inversion. C on the bottom, second inversion. E flat on the bottom, third inversion. So it's first inversion. Okay? Now, they say position. So in this case, you would say first position. But let's talk harmony now. It looks like this. A on the bottom, C, E, and then F. So what numbers would be? Remember how we did that last week? The little numbers. So you can describe this 2 different ways. First position or use the little numbers. Anybody, you remember? Yeah?
6/5.
Yeah, so this would be a 6/5. Remember how we work it from the bottom up? From here, it's a 3. From there, it's a 5. And there, it's a 6. So 6, 5, 3, right? Usually, we leave that out. Okay, so this is kind of all the different possible ways to describe this chord. This is all functional. E dominant 7, first position, which is the same thing as 6/5. Okay, if you wanted to do, well, I wrote it down at the bottom. Root quality. Okay. So root quality. So this is an F major 7th, A on A natural on the bottom. So you could describe it that way, that way, that way. Okay. And they might ask you any one of those. Or you might be asked any one of those. Right? Oh, time for one more. One chirp. Yeah, so for this one, again, I'll talk through it. I see those guys, so I'm just going to leave them. This A can go right in the middle. And I need this guy on a space. So not up here, down here. So here's my chord. D sharp, F sharp, A, C. So, chord type, diminished or dominant? Diminished. Small minor thirds, right? D sharp, F sharp, A, C. So it's a dim. So that means it's key. So the minor key with one sharp, you all know that. That's E minor. Position. It's root position. You don't have to worry. You're always going to get this. So it's only ever going to be root position. And then if you were asked to write up here, this is what you do. It's a diminished 7th. So D sharp diminished 7th. Done. That's all you need. And that okay, so let's see. Give you something to do. Yeah, we're going to pile through the rest of this stuff next week. And I'll also give you some random stuff like this from other sources, which will kind of go back into some of the intervals, compound intervals, just so you don't forget. So I'm going to just ask you to do okay, so you should be able to do question 3 and question 4 on page 80-81. Basically what we've been doing now. So they give you a bunch of chords, you got to figure out whether it's major, it's minor, whether it's augmented, or diminished, or dominant 7th, or leading tone diminished 7th, and just fill in the blank. Okay? For position,